All right. So why do 80% of personal trainers quit within 6 months? And why are only 5% of online PTs making enough money to be like a full-time income? Why is that? That's what we're going to go through in today's episode. So, um, hope you're having an epic day, team. My name's Matt. If you haven't met me before, I'm an online PT plus business coach for personal trainers looking to have an online income stream or completely move online. So, yeah, if you haven't seen my stuff already, check out the other podcasts. And if you do want to work with me, best place to reach out to me is on Instagram or Facebook. So let's get stuck in. Now, before we get stuck in, if you could please just like or subscribe wherever you're listening or watching this, it does help more than you realize. The only way to help more people is to get more engagement on the podcast. So let's get stuck in. So, why is that the case? Why do 80% of PTs, why do 80% of face-to-face PTs quit within 6 months? And why do 5% of online PTs, why do they never make enough to make a full-time income? And you could probably argue full-time income might be like, I don't know, 60, 70,000 a year. So like 1,200 a week. Like it's not a lot of money. But why only 5%? That's such a low number. So let me go into a couple of reasons here. So it's not because like they're bad trainers. It's not because they lost their passion. Um, it's because they don't make enough money. They don't know how to get clients. And at the end of the day, and I said this on one of my posts the other day, um, where is it? The best marketer wins. It's not the best coach. It's not the person who looks the best. Irrelevant. Like yes, obviously, if you look good, you might get some clients. But if you don't know how to market, there's no hope for you, unfortunately. And the reality is, in the course that they teach you, or when you're in a gym, they don't teach you the marketing or the sales side of things. And I've been lucky enough that I've had a pretty good background with that type of stuff before I started in the industry. So I kind of knew, it's a proper business. It's not something that you just do casually. Like so many people just do PT on the side because they don't know how to market. They might just take a couple of clients here and there, and even though that's what they want to do, even though that's what they want to do, and that's their purpose, that's their life's mission, they for whatever reason they don't want to learn the skill of marketing and sales, etc., etc. So it comes down to one thing. It comes down to one thing, really. Both face to face or online, it doesn't matter. It's what I commonly call them as growth tasks. Growth tasks are as follows: lead generation, or it's basically lead generation, converting clients. That's pretty much the two things. So if you're in a face-to-face gym, if you're not contacting leads weekly, if you're not doing marketing in the gym weekly, if you're not like if you're an online trainer, if you're not posting on social media, if you're not doing call to actions on social media, if you're not having conversations in the DMs, if you're not offering your service, there is no hope for you. It doesn't matter how good of a PT you are. The best marketer wins. Here's another analogy for you. Who's got the best burgers? Who has the best burgers? I would probably argue some of my favorite burgers are grilled. Grilled's pretty popular. I like grilled. Now, I grilled the cheapest burger. No, what's the cheapest burger? McDonald's. How much does McDonald's make? The best marketer wins. Okay? So you need to understand sales and marketing. If you do not understand sales and marketing, you will fail as a PT. And because what happens when you fail as a PT, you become a club manager. Club managers are failed PTs most of the time. Not all the time. Most of the time, club managers are failed PTs. They want the security, quote, quote, security of having a salary, getting told what to do, getting told what they're worth, etc. So this is just a bit of a reality check for you guys building your businesses. that the things that you need to master, and I mean master, if you want to be in this long term, you need to master sales and marketing. Sales is like once you understand sales, it's relatively easy, but marketing changes over time. What worked 5 years ago when I first started doesn't work anymore, or it doesn't work as well. Still works to a degree. Social media is changing. At a drop of a hat, click of your fingers, Instagram could get shut down. Your account could get shut down if you're relying on Instagram to build your business, if you're an online PT. If you're in a gym, I've got kicked out of gyms before. Not for my fault, but I've got kicked out of gyms before. So you might have got lucky and been able to build a few clients, but what happens if that went away? What happens if you have to start from scratch again? Could you do that? So that is yeah, that's one of the big things that we teach in our program is sales and marketing. Like we don't really teach you how to become a better trainer. There's plenty of other people that can teach you that type of stuff. And like for me personally, like I'm probably a 6 out of 10 as a PT. Like I hate doing programs. I hate writing programs. In fact, I barely wrote programs when I was a PT. Everyone's so fixated on a program. They have to have a program. They have to have a program. Guess what? I had 150 clients, 250 sessions a week. Programs aren't what sell the service. I got people with great results, by the way. Great results. But most people are training with me 2, 3 times a week. I told them to kind of replicate our sessions during when they train, but they don't need a super, super specific, super detailed program. Like, yes, it makes things a bit easier, for sure. But it's a myth in the industry that people need to have these super specific, tailored programs uh, for the general population, by the way, for general population. I'm not saying for powerlifting, bodybuilding, that type of stuff, you probably need a bit more tailored guidance. But the moral of the story here is I knew how to market. I knew how to get leads. I knew how to close deals, close sales. In the I've been a PT 6 years now. Um, I don't know what the current figures are, but I've closed over $1 million in sales in just PT. And my conversion rate over that time has been 80%. 80% of people that sit in front of me, I close in some type of capacity. So there's a number of different trainings that you can watch on the podcast if you don't want to work with me directly. On the podcast, we've got a couple of sales training, objection handling videos. Um, but it all comes down to the growth tasks. One of the reasons why I was able to go from 0 to 250 sessions a week in, I think it was 2 years, was without fail, every single week, I had 20, 30, 40 people to call as leads without fail. And guess what happens when you got 20, 30, 40 people to call each week? Guess what happens? You book in 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 15, 20 consultations every single week. And guess what happens when you have an 80% conversion rate? You grow very, very fast. And I'm not saying you have to have an 80% conversion rate, but if you were like, what would happen if you were to be doing calls, calls for leads every single week? What would happen if you were growing your audience every single week on social media? What would happen if you were offering your services on social media every single week, not just once every friggin' 3 months? What would happen if you were actively doing lead generation to generate these leads every single week? What would your business look like? Because I can tell you what it would look like. It would skyrocket. There's a reason why majority of our clients double their revenue within just a couple of months of working with us. Because we focus on the growth tasks. What's going to be the biggest needle in your business right now? So many people are focused on doing all these PT sessions. You need to focus on the sales and marketing. So the quicker that you can, have your price at a point where you don't have to do as many face-to-face PT sessions, the faster you're going to be able to spend more time on sales and marketing, which is going to move the needle even more. And that's when That's when you like, for example, I'm talking about like online right now. Even if you're full face to face, you could obviously still take on online clients, right? It doesn't take much time. It takes like 5 minutes a week to manage an online client. But imagine if you spent 5 hours a week purely, purely on growth tasks. Watch your business take off when that happens. So this is a nice short episode. I'll leave it there. I think I made my point here, but that's the reason why so many people quit or they never make enough money to do it full time or even part time. So many people have a full time job and then do PT on the side. Okay, so I'll leave it there for this episode. If you do want help with this stuff in sales and marketing, that is majority of the stuff that we teach. Because at the end of the day, that's what moves the needle. That's what you need. That's what you need to make more money. I'm purely focused on making my clients more money. That's pretty much all I care about. Or not all of it, but I focus on the profit, leverage, and the lifestyle. So yes, I want to make them more money, and then we start to leverage their life, leverage their time, and then we improve their lifestyle. So yeah, if you want more information, um, send me a DM on Instagram or Facebook, and we'll see if we can help. Anyway, have an awesome day, team. I'll see you in the next episode.